Okay. Okay, good morning everybody. Let us begin with the metta recital. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long or large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere, neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hate or resentment. Whether standing or sitting, called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desire for sensual pleasures, one comes never again to birth in the womb. Okay, with this metta thought, let us begin our meditation. We will, as usual, we sit up in comfortable posture and pay our attention to our breathing and keep the mind focused on the breath. And notice the breath rising and passing, as well as the feeling of the breath rises and passes along with the breath. Our perception rises and falls with the breath. Our consciousness rises and falls with the breath. Our thoughts or attention rises and falls with the breath. As we are doing this without verbalizing or conceptualizing, without letting the mind wander here and there, we simply pay total, undivided, mindful attention to the breath. Mindful attention is the attention that we pay knowing the rising, knowing the attention, and knowing the passing away. When we have these qualities of our attention, that is called mindful attention to know the root, the middle, and the end of each breath. This happens very quickly, and yet we stay focused on the breath. Then we can notice the rising, beginning of the rising, middle of rising, end of rising, beginning of falling, middle of falling, and passing of falling or end of falling. Since we don't use any words or concepts, this attention gradually calms our mind, makes it more relaxed and peaceful. At that level, nothing exciting arises. For instance, no greed arises, desire arises. Therefore, the mind becomes even more calm, more relaxed, more peaceful. At that level, we feel the feeling of metta. We feel loving friendliness at that time. We feel that we all are breathing together with the rest of the world for the same rhythm, like a vibration, universal vibration, where we feel all one. And that is how we feel when the metta feeling arises without any resentment. Whatever resentment or anger, dislike is, it fades away, disappears. And the mind remains very calm than before, more peaceful, more relaxed. At that level, you may even feel heavy head, sleepiness, drowsiness. When everything is calm and relaxed, sometimes people feel sleepy or drowsy. And we have to arouse our energy to overcome our drowsiness and sleepiness by focusing the mind on very bright light. And this is very highly recommended by the Buddha, and we follow his instructions and focus the mind on very bright light. Or take the deep breath, hold it as long as you can, and slowly breathe out. When you do it several times, your sleepiness fades away, your body warms up, and then you will be on your practice. Then, because of this energy, the opposite of sleepiness and drowsiness can arise. That is the restlessness and worry. Restlessness arises from thinking of the past, incorrect things we have done, or incomplete things we have done, we may remember. Or you may remember something that you want to do in future, planning, and that the mind therefore can vacillate between the past and the future. All this vanishes when you put your mind on the present moment. Present moment is the moment that the breath is going in and out that you started with. And the breath is always present. And therefore, mind will be anchored on the present moment. And then you are not totally clear your way to gain concentration, because you may still have some doubts about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, morality, yourself, and so on. And in order to overcome that, we must place our trust in the Buddha, the one who introduced this system from his own personal experience. Buddha got this experience from his own practice. Keep practicing, and then he attained enlightenment. So he introduced this to us from his own personal experience. Moreover, Buddha also followed the Dhamma. Dhamma is Buddha's own teacher. Instead of appointing a successor, a human successor, Buddha asks us to follow the Dhamma as his successor. And we follow the Dhamma, and millions of other noble disciples of the Buddha, following the Dhamma, attain the same state of enlightenment, liberated themselves from suffering, liberated themselves from samsaric existence. And therefore we also follow the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha for gaining our own liberation. This even can help us our temporary peace and happiness. I know for very clearly for many years I have been practicing. When I am sick, I focus our mind on our breath and stay mindful. My sickness subsides and I get recovered. I recover sooner than I do not practice meditation. And therefore it has a personal benefit as always. Therefore we must have confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha and this method. Moreover, we have already overcome our greed, hatred, sleepiness and drowsiness, restlessness and worry, and now we can overcome this doubt as well. When we overcome all this, the mind becomes relaxed and we feel full of joy, which leads to happiness. Happiness is the stepping stone for gaining concentration. Once we gain concentration, we use it to know things exactly as they are. The Buddha definitely said to us that concentrated mind can see things as they really are. What are the things? Things are body, feelings, perceptions, volition, and consciousness. These are the things that we have. Also Buddha said, be island to yourself or be light to yourself. What he meant was be mindful of your own body, rising, falling, appearing and disappearing. Be mindful of your feeling rising, falling and disappearing. Be mindful of your perception rising, falling, disappearing. Be mindful of volition rising, falling, disappearing. Be mindful of your consciousness rising, falling and disappearing. These are the things we have to do when we entirely depend on ourselves. And that is what we are doing in meditation. Use our concentration impartially to see rising and falling, appearing and disappearing, or impermanence of our body, feelings, perception, thought and consciousness. When we do so, there is no room for greed, hatred and delusion to arise. So we block, sometimes temporarily, we block them and eventually we can eliminate them from our mind when our mindfulness becomes very strong and takes root in our mind. With these few words of instruction, let us continue our practice together. and I will ring the bell and we continue the rest of our morning session. By means of this meritorious deed, may I never join with the foolish, may I join always with the wise, until the time I attain Nibbana. May the suffering be free from suffering, may the fear-struck be free from fear, may the grieving be free from grief, so too may all beings be, from the highest realm of existence to the lowest. May all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering and attain to perfect peace. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Friends, now I want to continue our Dhamma talk on Bojjhanga, Factors of Enlightenment. And I said Factors of Enlightenment are 37. Out of them, first is the group of 4, which comprises of 4 foundations of mindfulness. First of the 4 foundations of mindfulness is called mindfulness of the body. Mindfulness of the body practice divided into 6 groups. First, breathing, then postures, third, clear comprehension, and fourth is parts of the body, 32 parts of the body. We discussed it, part of it last time, and today I want to continue the rest. When we do not understand it, when we try to practice it without deep awareness, deep understanding, or without clear comprehension, then that practice can lead to 2 extremes, or to one of the 2 extremes. One extreme is the extreme of desire, other extreme is extreme of hate. 32 parts we mentioned are ordinarily considered to be unattractive, and of course in conventional sense, until we attain higher level of meditation, these 32 parts certainly are not very pleasant. But when we develop our insight, then we have different perspective. Always when we are not mindful and not deeply involved in the practice of meditation, our perception is distorted. When we develop our mindfulness and practice of meditation, then our perception becomes clearer and clearer, and we gain deeper insight and wisdom. So this practice leads to that level, mindfulness of parts of the body, eventually leads us to gaining the deeper understanding of this body. In order to make it clear, Buddha has given a simile, impartial simile. In this impartial simile, Buddha mentioned, just as though there were a bag with an opening at both ends, full of many sorts of grain, such as hill rice, red rice, beans, peas, millet, and white rice, and a man with good eyesight were to open it and review it thus: this is hill rice, this is red rice, these are beans, these are peas, this is millet, this is white rice. So he does not say this is red rice, I like red rice. This is beans, I hate beans. Without such emotional reaction, he reviews these grains. This is very much like a scientist taking a certain unpleasant piece from our body, maybe skin or little feces, put under a powerful microscope, and with his clear eyesight he looks at that part, the skin or feces, little feces or excrement or urine or something, and he very carefully with clear eyesight look through this powerful, very powerful magnifying microscope to find out the composition or properties, contents of that particular thing, feces or skin or something. And in his mind, he has one objective, that is, he wants to see what is there. He does not say, I hate this, so I like this, and simply wants to know what it is. Many forensics, the pathologists, they do a lot of surgery, autopsy, and they see various parts of the body, and their reaction is not emotional. They just want to see what is there, maybe the cause of death or something. Similarly, these parts of the body has to be reviewed or watched, pay attention to them mentally with mindfulness. And I mentioned one example of a monk, Venerable Sariputta's disciples, who was not mindful, not insightful, and therefore when he was watching he increased his lust. There is another incident that is even more serious. One day Buddha spoke very highly of these 32 parts of the body, gave instructions to monks, and praised the practice of practicing meditation on these 32 parts. Having given this instruction, Buddha took leave of them, went to a forest for him to have a secluded, quiet moment, or 2 weeks to practice his stay in experiencing of bliss of emancipation. During the time Buddha was away, there were many monks practicing this meditation on the 32 parts. And then they began to, they was not very mindful, so they being repelled, humiliated and disgusted with this body. And they sought for an assailant. That means they wanted to get rid of their body. So they found an assailant. And so he came. In one day, 10 monks either themselves took knife and cut their throat, or sometimes 20 monks in one day, 30 monks in one day cut their throats with the knife. And some monks, this assailant killed, because they requested him to kill them, because they don't like this body. So that is how some of them committed suicide, some of them committed homicide. So they cut each other's throat, or by themselves cut their own throats, or asked this assailant to kill them. When Buddha returned from his 2 weeks period of seclusion, he found this number of monks was reduced. So he asked Venerable Ananda reported to the Buddha what had really happened. So this is the other extreme of not understanding this practice, this meditation, with their misunderstanding. They committed suicide. And therefore, we have to remember the practice is very, very important, and there are Buddha mentioned this with very deep insight for anybody to practice this with very impartial state of mind. And we have to see there are 6 elements. We are made up of 6 elements. And they are earth element, water element, air element, fire elements, space elements, and consciousness elements. These are all elements. The 32 parts of the body belong to earth element. And 20 of the 32 parts of the body, first 20 belong to earth element. Last 12 belong to water elements. And we have air that belongs to air elements. And we are made up of heat elements that belong to heat elements. In Rahulevada Sutta, Buddha said the internal earth element is the same as external earth element. Internal water element is the same as external water element. Internal fire element is the same as external fire elements. External air element is the same as external air element. So external earth element is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. Similarly, internal earth element, impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. There is no difference between these two. Both have the same characteristics. 3 characteristics. Internal water elements is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. External water element impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. Similarly, internal fire element impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. External fire element impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. Internal air element impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. External air element impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. And therefore, internal space element impermanent, unsatisfactory, selfless. External space element impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. Impermanent consciousness element, vijnana dhatu, also impermanent, and external impermanent consciousness element also impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. So, out of this, Buddha started the first 32. Out of these 32, first he started 5 visible parts. 5 visible parts. These are the parts whose change, whose impermanent nature is visible. For instance, our hair, when we are young, looks very healthy, soft, strong, full of protein and so on. But as we grow, we notice our hair becoming thick or thin or grey, or we lose hair. All this happen to hair. One time we are very proud of our hair, another time we are sad about our hair. One time we think that brings us beauty, another time that makes us not so beautiful. So when we see the changes in hair, that gives us an understanding of impermanence. Hair is impermanent. Unsatisfactoriness is there, Earlier we were very satisfied with our hair. We were pleased with our hair. We proud of our hair. But later on we are not pleased with our hair. We all know when we go to a hairdresser, he or she would clean it, shampoo it, trim it, and make it very attractive, beautiful. So when you come home and still you think your hair is very beautiful, pleasant, healthy and so on, and you eat your food. While eating your food, one of your hair would fall into the plate of food. Many times you may think this is so ugly, unpleasant, you may throw away the whole plate of food. Or soup, you may throw away the whole bowl of soup. 1 second before falling it, when it was on your head, you were very happy, very proud that you have good hair. And second later, it is so unpleasant, you don't like it. What made this change of attitude? This is the change of attitude. The hair is changing all the time, but we don't see that. One time we thought it is beautiful, next moment you think it is not so beautiful. So this kind of partial emotional reaction should be avoided when we practice meditation on the 32 parts of the body. If we understand that they are always changing, they are always impermanent, they are always unsatisfactory, they are always without self, then our mind becomes very steady, healthy, mindful, and we become wise, insightful to accept the reality that happens to our hair. Similarly, all our other parts, head hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin and so forth, these are the things that show our attractiveness or not attractiveness. These are the 5 things that we become proud or not proud or humble. And therefore, Buddha showed these 5 first. Moreover, we have, as I made mention in Indriya Bhavana Sutta, that is very important discourse. Buddha gave a very beautiful, very meaningful similes, 6 similes, that eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind, when we see objects with our eyes, our experience is so quickly changing that is, it is just like when we blink our eyes. That first, when you close and open our eyes, that quickly this visual object changes. Hair is changing, head hair is changing, body hair is changing, nail, teeth and so forth are changing. We see them. These are visual objects. in us and as well as others. They are changing, but the change is so fast that we cannot see it. So any object that we see with our eyes are changing as quickly as we blink or faster than we blink our eyes. The sound we hear changes or becomes impermanent just like when we snap our fingers. When we snap our fingers, we hear the sound and that sound disappears very quickly. Then we smell, our smell changes that quickly, just like when you put a drop of water onto a lotus leaf, it immediately rolls down, it doesn't stay on the leaf that quickly. The taste we taste changes very quickly, just as if we take a little spittle and throw it out and spit out, that quickly it changes. Our bodily contact changes so quickly, just as a healthy, strong person stretch his hand and bend it, that quickly it changes. Moreover, the mental image, the things that come to our mind objects, change as quickly as if you put a drop of water into a frying pan which has been heated up the whole day. Frying pan is very hot. If you put few drops of water, they evaporate very quickly. Similarly, mind object changes very quickly. This kind of changes is taking place always in us with regard to our bodily parts as well. So, the purpose of this practice is to develop impartiality and equanimity. That is the point, equanimity. In Indriya Bhavana Sutta, Buddha said, suppose we see sight, hear sound, smell, taste, touch and mental object. Some of them they are either pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. They are pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. Then the meditator, Buddha said, if he should wish, may I abide perceiving the un-repulsive in the repulsive. So these 32 parts of the body, ordinarily repulsive. And then if he wants to perceive, and he may wish, may I abide perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive. You see the bodily parts repulsive, I want to see it unrepulsive. That is a wish. Then he abides perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive. Unrepulsive in the repulsive. If he should wish, may I abide perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive and repulsive in the unrepulsive, he abides perceiving the unrepulsive in that his perception. He wishes to see unrepulsive in the repulsive. If he should wish, may I abide perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive and repulsive, both. He would perceive the repulsive in that. If he should wish, may I avoid both repulsive and unrepulsive, he abides in equanimity. He repulsive in equanimity, mindful and fully aware. He abides in equanimity towards that mindfully and with full awareness. So, this is the attitude, this is the frame of mind, this is the state of mind we have to develop with regard to the 32 parts of the body. That is, we have to develop equanimous state of mind. Why? How is that? Because we see every part of our body is impermanent. Every part impermanent. Every part is unsatisfactory. Every part is without self. None of them has an iota of self. This is a very profound, deep insight we gain by looking at the parts of the body impartially. Impermanence, unsatisfactoriness and selflessness. Some people think we meditate on these 32 parts of the body to develop our aversion towards the body, disgust towards the body, repulsiveness of the body. That, friends, is called hatred. Buddha never introduced any kind of meditation to develop hatred towards oneself or towards others. Those monks who developed hatred towards the body committed suicide. Those monks that monk who developed lust towards the body could not get rid of his lust. So this meditation we have to practice in order to develop our equanimous state and to see the truth of our body. With this, I like to conclude today's talk, and I hope whenever you practice this meditation, keep this instruction in mind. Do not hate the body, do not dislike, do not become attached to the body, that is called upadana, clinging, craving. So we do not develop our craving towards the body, nor do we develop hatred towards the body, but we develop equanimity, be mindful, insightful to understand the real true nature of the body. So with this I want to conclude this morning's talk, and I hope you have many questions to ask me tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day I ask your question. So friends, once again I want to wish everyone that is suffering from COVID-19, whether they are in hospital or out of hospital, I want to wish them peace and very rapid recovery and return to their normal health and continue their practice diligently and liberate themselves from suffering, never to fall sick again. May all the doctors and nurses who take care of these patients risking their own life, sacrifice their own comfort, may they also continue their wonderful service and live in very good health and liberate themselves from samsaric suffering. May all those who are supporting these institutes, places, projects, medicine, vaccines, and so forth, in many ways, may they also live in good health and practice Dhamma and liberate themselves from samsaric suffering. May all those leaders, world leaders, who are very farsightedly taking quick actions to help people in many ways, may they continue their wonderful service and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. And may you all, whether you attend these classes or not, participate in our discussions or not, whether you are home or not, wherever you are, all of you, all living beings, be well, happy and peaceful and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Sadhu,
Thank
sadhu,
you,
sadhu.
Thank you,
Thank
Bhante.
you, Bhante.
Sadhu,
Thank you,
sadhu.
Bhante. Sadhu,
Thank
sadhu.
you.
Thank
Everyone
you,
saranasai
Bhante.
namaste.
Thank you, Bhante. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Good day.
Bhante.
Thank you.
Everyone,
Thank
Saranai.
you, Bhante.
Everyone
Thank
saranai.
you,
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Herman Bante.